Yes, ma'am.
Congressman, I'm a representative. I represent 6 towns in your district. And I'm also a national coordinator for a women's advocacy group and an EMT, so I very much understand and appreciate the work that these women are doing. My concern, however, is in talking about funding issues, I have a lot of constituents that are very upset they have been unable to get their questions answered. They're losing their homes, they've lost their jobs, they can't feed their families. This money comes from taxpayers. Where would you take the money from in order to fund this? What takes a lower priority to you? And how do you intend on taking up these funding issues? Many of these folks would voluntarily give their money to this organization and many other worthy organizations if they actually could afford to pay their bills these days. How would you handle this, and where would you take the money from?
Well, we face a lot of difficult choices in a stubborn recession. As you know, the Recovery and Reinvestment Act has started to make a real impact on dealing with a stubborn recession. There is no doubt that given the depth of the recession and the severity of the financial crisis that developed, the federal government has had to step in to stabilize the economy and help rebuild a working economy for the 21st century. So I've supported programs to help make sure that that the middle class has tax cuts, that the states have been able to address needs of people with Medicaid and not fire people, and to support infrastructure investment, both new and old, in the Recovery and Reinvestment Act. And at the same time, there are always difficult budgetary and policy choices to make about funding important social priorities. What I'm here today to say is that I believe that supporting the women who are victims of domestic sexual violence and abuse is an important priority that we all share as a society. The impacts on all of us of the domestic and sexual violence and abuse that we have heard about are important for all of us to deal with. So there are many difficult choices to make. I'm here to say that I believe this is a high priority, and I believe that the acts should be reauthorized and fully funded. At the same time, it's important to be fiscally responsible, and that's where the tension comes between my colleagues who are on the Appropriations Committee, facing authorization of a number of different programs and making difficult choices. My colleagues may not always agree with me about my priorities. I think this is an important social priority.